I'm excited to introduce this candidate to you as well. So, and it's actually Dr. Brian Williams. Dr. Brian Williams is a candidate for U.S. House District 32, which is Colin Allred's, also Colin Allred's open seat. And so thank you so much for joining us this evening. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running for office?
Absolutely, Nancy. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Dr. Brian Williams, and I'm running for U.S. District 32 because I've just seen too much needless death and suffering due to gun violence and lack of access to health care. And I've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a proud graduate of the United States Air Force Academy, so my life has been about service. I'm also a trauma surgeon, and I was a former health policy advisor to Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I'm also a husband and father who calls East Dallas home, with raising 2 dogs as well. Some of you may know me from the mass shooting of our Dallas police officers in July 2016. I was a trauma surgeon working at Parkland Hospital that cared for 7 of those officers, 3 of whom came in and that were critically wounded and died from their injuries. And this is a night that nearly broke me. And I still think about this day this night every day. I carried a lot of guilt and shame for a long time. But I realized that to be part of the healing of Dallas, I needed to get involved outside of the hospital. So Mayor Rawlings appointed me to chair the police review board. I served as Judge Jenkins' special advisor for health equity, but I've also seen what's possible at the federal level with the right leaders in place, because we can do big things. I served as Senator Chris Murphy's, as well as then Speaker Nancy Pelosi's health policy advisors, and helped craft and pass monumental legislation for gun safety and health care. So I've been a part of that process at the federal level, but there's a lot more work to be done. See, and now this election is about sending the right leader to Congress for the times we are in. Now, someone had to tell too many mothers and fathers about the death of their children. This needs to end. So what we need to do is send someone from the front lines to understand what's at stake. And together, we can end the epidemic of gun violence. And I'm honored to have been learned yesterday that I'm now one of 4 candidates at any level in the country who have been selected as an inaugural Giffords Gun Safety Champion by former Representative Gabby Giffords. We can also restore abortion rights nationwide, lower healthcare costs. And as a veteran, I believe in the greatness of America. This is very important to me. I've come from a long line of veterans, so we must defend our democracy, stand against those who are trying to destroy it. Now, I'm motivated to run for office. I'm not a politician, but I'm not waiting for permission for someone when it's okay to run. I take my inspiration from people like Lucy McBath, whose son was shot and killed, and she ran for Congress and is now doing amazing work for gun safety. Lauren Underwood, a nurse who watched her Republican representative try to dismantle Obamacare, she ran for office, and she's changed the name of the game for women's health across this country. And let's not forget, Colin Allred, our current congressman, he ran for the first time, and he now hopefully will be our next senator. So that inspires me, because I have see a problem. I can go to Congress and talk about what it's like to pronounce children dead when they arrive and tell mothers and fathers they cannot see them because they're a crime scene. What it's like to be called into the OR at 2 o'clock in the morning by my OB colleagues, a woman who was bleeding to death from a reproductive emergency to help them control the bleeding. Mm-hmm. Tell my patients that, what, I'm sorry you cannot afford your insulin, but your foot is so badly infected I have to do an amputation. That's the importance of having a doctor who knows what's at stake, telling these stories in Congress. I will be a voice for those that do not have a voice. So if you believe that we can do this together, I invite you to go to my website, drbrianwilliamsforcongress.com, sign up to join our campaign and just learn what's happening. I'd be honored to work with you to represent District 32 in Washington, D.C. as your next congressman. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what are your top 3 issues that you're running on for your district?
Yes, so my top 3 issues broadly fall under health. So I place my stake in the ground to end the epidemic of gun violence. I've lost count of the number of children and teens that I've announced dead on arrival in this carnage has to end. We live in a state that is leading the nation in mass shootings, and we continue to weaken our gun safety laws. So I'm proud to be endorsed by Brady and Giffords to work to end that epidemic. Also had a chance to be part of crafting the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act that we passed last year, the most significant gun safety legislation in a generation. so I can go back and can build upon that work, because there's a lot of work that we can do on a bipartisan basis to keep our kids and communities safe.
Mhm.
Abortion rights. So restoring abortion rights nationwide, because there's no room, there's no place for politicians between that relationship between those making decisions about their health care every day and their families and their doctors. So restore abortion rights. And lastly, just lower healthcare costs. I've chosen to work at safety net hospitals. These are places that serve the underserved, those without the means to pay for healthcare, don't have insurance. And I've just seen too much needless suffering from folks that have delay in their healthcare. They're not taking their medications. They can't afford their medications. And it's just inhumane that we accept that as a norm in this country. With so much ingenuity and wealth, we can address that with a public option in the ACA, reimportation of FDA-approved drugs from Canada, bringing aftermarket drugs to market quicker. We as a country can reduce healthcare costs. We did it by capping insulin for seniors. Let's do that for everyone. That's an example of how we can reduce healthcare costs. And so those are my top three issues. But also, I just got to mention, I'm from a long line of veterans. My great-great-great-grandfather served in the Civil War. He fought for these rights that were denied him. So it's very personal to me that we actually defend our democracy. I've taken an oath to lay my life on the line to defend our Constitution. I will take that same sort of determination and commitment to our country as the next representative for Congress.
That's wonderful. So I see your book in the background. Can you tell me a little bit about your book, since it's in the window? I can see it. Tell me a little bit about your book.
This is my book, The Bodies Keep Coming. It's a memoir with a lot of storytelling, very personal. But I wanted just to draw you in to teach you about these bigger things that were, gun violence, healthcare inequality, defending our democracy, and how we as public policy can address those issues. And it grew out of at the aftermath of the July 2016 shooting of police officers, and how I felt a lot of guilt and shame for a long time, but how I was going to be part of healing. So I talk about a lot of heavy things in this book to bring you in so you see the reality of what it's like to be on the front lines of gun violence and healthcare inequality, and to be a doctor and feel just totally helpless because nothing is changing outside the hospital, but it's meant to be hopeful and healing at the end. So I give a roadmap to how we can do that. And it's a call to action for everyone to be part of creating justice in this district, in our country. And for me, at the end of writing the book, my call to action is I am now running for Congress. So I didn't write the book to run for Congress, but when I was done, I realized that I couldn't go back to my old life. I had to do something different. And I also narrated the audiobook. If you want to hear my voice, you can check it out there as well. But thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you. So tell us, Dr. Williams, where can we find you and how best can we support your campaign right now?
I would go to drbrianwilliamsforcongress.com. I know that is a mouthful, but Brian Williams is a very popular name, and getting a unique URL took some time. But drbrianwilliamsforcongress.com. And on there are all of my social media tags for Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So you can find us there. You can sign up to volunteer. We have a lot of events happening this weekend around the district. So you can go there and sign up and see what's happening. And we would be, we'd love to have you support this campaign. This is a campaign fueled by purpose. We are committed to creating justice. And as I said, as a doctor going to Congress, I can speak these issues of gun violence, healthcare access, and abortion rights unlike any other candidate. And again, for gun safety, 1 of 4 at any level endorsed by Giffords as an inaugural gun safety champion. So we are serious about keeping our communities and kids safe from the scourge of gun violence.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail, and I really appreciate you joining us this evening. It was great to
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nancy. Appreciate it.